any noble entity worth its salt is gonna come at you forthrightly and like honorably, but like, what do you do about the thief in the night who sneaks a dagger into your back when you can't hear him or see him, like,
because that's the only way the weak man can operate, is without integrity, because they have to be sneaky. They have to be
That's what I'm saying. Like it's like you were saying when Michael Richards was being a complete fucking tool to that poor guy. Yeah. Right? Like it's like you can't be a dick like that. People know.
Yeah.
Like it's like Peterson's fucking pedophile point. It's, you know what I mean? Like you can't just be an awful person and like not get like ruined from it. Like,
people pay for it.
Yeah, they pay for it. They pay for it internally, I'm sure, in varying degrees of their level of socio or psychopathy.
Awareness.
Yeah. And they pay for it logistically, because you can't be a deplorable person for long. You just don't get away with it.
The group won't allow you in the group.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like your social circle, it's like, no, I get that guy out of here.
That's fucked up. Get out of here, please.
Yeah. And sadly, that is the thing. The biggest amount of damage that I think that the social justice community has caused to our society is the weakening of certain arguments and certain points. Look, when they started off, they rose fast. And they rose fast because they called everyone racist, sexist, homophobic, right? And we are so, as a society... because for that very reason, because we don't want to be a bunch of horrible assholes, we hear those words and we think, oh, racists are assholes, sexists are assholes, homophobes are assholes. So we hear that and it's like a dog whistle. Everyone would just somebody calls someone, a racist, and it's like, oh, that guy's a racist. And
we all kind of want to know.
Right?
Good to know.
Right? But after years, and because those accusations didn't get thrown around flippantly before.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So when we'd hear it from enough sources coming in, our internal logic would be, I've heard it from a bunch of places that guy over there is a racist. Mm-hmm. Internally, I'm going to kind of think he's probably a racist until I'm proven otherwise. Because I have enough examples. He may not be, but I've been told he was, right? Mm-hmm. So because of our social training... And, because of how our society's evolved, they grew really fast. Because they learned that was just like a fucking bullet. Right? But after years and years and years of them calling everyone, after them making a scientist cry the day he landed a probe on a fucking comet.
Which is fucked.
Right?
Just think about that.
And that is why the social justice... But... in the end, what have they accomplished? They've stripped racist, sexist, homophobe, bigot. They've stripped those words of meaning and impact. 10 years ago, somebody called you a racist. You're like, that's a pretty big fucking accusation.
Yeah, I'd go back to my room and think, how the fuck did I let that slip?
Right? That after 5 years of social justice horseshit, articles in the New York Times, is it okay for my children to be friends with white kids? Stuff like that for 5 years, and being called racist for literally anything. If you're not a fan of the doctrine of Islam, you're a fucking racist.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus, how did an idea get a color?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how did... Where did that?
It seems so patently obvious, though, man.
It seems so.
I can be critical of Christianity or Judaism, no problem. I can be critical of any idea ever. But God forbid I be critical of an idea that its adherents just seem to, for some reason, absolutely despise. And I think it sucks. You can't be phobic of ideas.
The really
not really.
Or critique.
You can disagree. You can agree, but you can't be.
I just remember when I was a kid. I guess kid is a good word for it. But I was in high school, and my history teacher, Mr. Ogilvy. I hope to have him on sometime. He was awesome.
Yeah.
But he would stage debates for us. He would give us some, like one time I played Abe Lincoln or whatever, and it's a mock debate. And we had people who wanted to keep their slaves, and then it was me on this side, and I tried to keep... Yeah. I was in this weird position where I had to keep myself in public favor on both sides, because I'm the president of the whole country, and trying to...
Right.
But I don't want slaves to be a thing, but I'm trying to keep these people happy, and it's just like... The snake in my way through those
That would
debates.
have been amusingly awkward to watch. Like, how do I defend racism?
At one point, I got so frustrated, I just slammed my fist on the desk and said, "God damn it! I'm the fucking president of the United Goddamn States." But anyways, it was just we got trained to debate. We had debates all the time, and we got trained on how to articulate ourselves and how to have points and have it's like arrows in your quiver, you know, and to argue. It was encouraged. And we would all, there's 40, 50 kids in the room. We all different individuals. We all actually disagree in genuine ways on all sorts of real issues that are current. But I just remember so many times having, a confliction of an idea with another human being and being able to sit at the table with them and
talk it out
and then
and sometimes
go play basketball together.
Sometimes
after.
you come to an impasse. Sometimes it's and it fundamentally boils down to a basic kind of very root human philosophy. Usually, if you work at it, if you both work, okay, well, fundamentally, we disagree on this philosophical point, which is kind of led down the ladder to this real world scenario. But, just not getting to that philosophical point, just being this is a thing right there. So I think, arguing the debate or debating a point and arguing for a point that you don't actually agree with can be a very useful exercise.
Yeah.
Because you have to actually try and understand, because you want to win the argument, right?
Yeah.
You want to win the debate, so you have to, try and conceptualize where they're coming from. I think that's
that was a.
And now we're
I'm going to be an SJW for the rest of this.
All right, great.
Thing.
And now we're at a point.
I'll do it for 10 minutes.
And now we're at a point where debate itself is being discredited. Just
that's what breaks my heart, really.
Period.
Yeah.
It's like, oh well, that's an oppressive patriarchal system of thought or way to operate, and it's like, well, no.
Yeah, it's
sorry,
but historically, minorities haven't had a voice, and
you're doing a great job so far.
they have been historically oppressed in our society,
right.
So maybe things have, in terms of the law and in terms of equality and whatnot, in legal status, they've become more equal, but that doesn't wipe away the kind of the history that so maybe a black guy that was born in a family into poverty, maybe he has all the technical same equal rights and etc. as the white kid next door, but that black kid is going to also maybe he wouldn't have been poor if it wasn't for the fact that his father, his father's father, his father's father hadn't been, pushed down, because, money is an inherited thing. Power is to a large degree an inherited thing as well, right? So, there's a very strong case to be made that we need to, elevate these people up, and at least I can't keep it going. I tried. Did I do good?
Yeah,
good job.
Honestly, that was the most.
Give you a ribbon.
Yeah,
I was this.
That was more coherent than any of the actual social justice.
Than any of the.
Right?
Come on, man.
Okay, so I was.
I don't think you were angry enough. You had to be more mad about the whole thing.
Yeah, you had to be
It
more.
punched me in the face and asked me about social justice. God. Jesus!
You had to be more righteous.
Punch me and ask me about social justice.
Yeah, you had to be more righteously
Just a sign to put on
indignant.
the street outside with the table.
Funny, I'm actually I'm gonna mention something about the sign on the street, and later I'm running for mayor.
Yeah,
I think I might have told
you told me about that.
Are you?
We talked about that.
Nice.
But yeah, punch me. I'm a social justice warrior. But okay, so let's look at that. Let's look at that argument.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a very valid point to be made there, right? That there's a lot of, on the whole, you know, if we're looking at a whole kind of level, black people and certain other minorities have in the past experienced oppression, which continues to roll down the line in terms of poverty. Now, the problem with the social justice approach is to look at it only from a lens of minority, right?
Yeah.
So now, when you do that, you completely wipe away all other avenues of people that might also agree with you because they feel something similar in their own lives because they've experienced hardships, but maybe they're not black. Maybe they're a white guy who's experienced a lot of hardships, who could have potentially been an ally to you. If your argument had started from the point of, you know, let's just say, we need better education, right? We need skills and opportunities to excel and, you know, maybe make a video series like we talked about, that kind of thinking. If you go ahead and say, well, we just need a whole bunch of money and special programs just for black people, well, then it's like, well, what about the, you know, the poor white kid that was grown up in a trailer park with alcohol,
and then there's no guarantee that certain individual black people are
going to be
use
rich,
that
or maybe
money
they're going to
properly.
Maybe they'll be rich. As a blanket thing, we'll just say, this is how we're going to address the problem. When, if we had been like, okay, here's a problem that largely affects the black community. Let's address the problem for everybody. And now we have allies in every color and gender and race, and it doesn't matter. Because if the problem is lack of educational resources for everybody, then there's going to be...
It's looking that way more and more.
Right, and it's looking that way more and more. The tuition costs are skyrocketing. What you get I feel like my generation is the first generation where post-secondary education is a liability. Because I know so many people with, you know, $30,000 in debt for some university, and they still can't get
work in their field
or a reasonable job.
Anton and I are scheming to go out west, and I'm planning on working the oil rigs to fund my own education because I want to study psychology and see how that goes.
Run the gauntlet, as it were, these days.
But I have to go out west and slave away on the rigs in order to pull that off. Yeah. It's like, but I'm not gonna bitch about it, that's for sure. I'm not gonna, well, I mean, not in any way that isn't productive. I mean, it's an issue. People need to be able to get access to education, and hopefully things change into a more
and the systems
way.
need to be smarter and more efficient, take advantage of these new technologies that we have, right? But okay, so if you look at it through that lens, you've got allies everywhere.
Yeah.
If you approach it from a lens of we need better education for black people, then you have all these really poor white people that are going to be, well, what the fuck about me? Right?
Poor people
are
period.
Poor people, right?
Yeah. Well, that's how the Soviet Union divided up people. It was rich and poor.
Yeah.
It was like, now
obviously, I'm not saying go that. That's
of course, right? But yeah, it's we gotta fucking stop getting all tribal again with this group identity politics. We're all in this together. We're all Canadians. We're all Americans. Whatever the case may be, regardless of our heritage. We need to work and strive to empower every individual. Give opportunities to everyone for education and entrepreneurship. And
I think what's maybe most darkly comical about it is that, like, you know, it's like one bad apple spoils the bunch, you know?
Yeah.
Like, all it takes is, like, you know, one fucking, he happens to be a straight white guy, and maybe he actually is a bit fucked in the head. Maybe he is a little fucking prejudiced against X group or Y group, you know? And maybe he does hold a position of authority. And maybe like, you know, he does, like...
And it totally...
he does negatively... Maybe that does negatively impact, like, X individual of whatever variety or Y individual of whatever variety. But, you know, it's just like...
Do you mind if I grab a glass of water?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The inverse is just as bad, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that's one thing that the next generation is going to have their shit together as far as... Is that one big problem with millennials, and I think a lot of, you know, people that came before millennials, is there's a